or add you into the recording, we can do that for sure. And I think it's interesting that I'll just sit here because that's the best way to function. So I won't do much beyond that. How are you? Huh? No, so my red camera is going to serve as my camera. So they get a really bad view of me. But that's just how it is. So last week I tried using this little table and I have fear that it was like looking at a bad angle up my nose or something. And I was like, you know what, we'll just put it here and we'll make it work. Anyway.
It's like down on his belt or something.
Oh no.
So you can see his clipboard and like up his nose.
Yeah, no, I think he was kind of like, because he kind of looked like he was walking around.
Well, he was coaching.
Yeah, looking down here, but I felt like bless his heart for trying. They just turn off the camera.
Yeah, there comes a point where you just turn off the camera. So I will just let you know that the sound may not pick up all the way, so I may repeat questions back and forth as we have them. So we're going to open up a Canvas course, and any Canvas course will work, and we're going to go into a blank page for today. So I'm going to come into Pages and make a page, and we will do quite a bit in this page. So don't publish it unless you really feel comfortable with what you've done today. But I would recommend not publishing it so that your students don't see all of your playing aroundness. So I'm going to type in a title for my page, and I will call this something like, sorry, I did not do this right. Just a moment. Close your eyes, everyone. Close your eyes. Don't look. That is what we're doing today, is giving you magic things that I have that you don't. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to open up a page. That shouldn't have happened, but anyway. We're going to start by titling our page something. I don't care what you call it. So I'm going to call mine October 8th DesignPLUS because I'm doing multiple of these. And so I'm just going to call it something that I can tag, but you can call it whatever you want to call it. And so when we get into that, now the goal for this is to get, as Katie said, these hidden tools. So for PC users, you're going to click Alt-Shift-D after you have edited the page. When you've started editing the page, we're going to click Alt-Shift-D. Now, if you're on a Mac, it's going to be Option-Shift-D after you've edited the page. Now, we're going to show you how to do this so that you don't have to do this every time you edit a page. You can make it so that it's available anytime you want to edit a page. Okay. So after I hit Alt-Shift-D, I should get this rocket that appears up in the upper right-hand corner, which will allow me to open or not my design tools. I will try again because apparently it doesn't want to work. Okay, that should work now. Okay, so I will hit Alt-Shift-D. There comes my design tool menu. Now, on the right-hand side is going to be your settings gear. So what we want to do is open up the settings, and that will automatically pull out another box where we can allocate our different settings for our course and for ourselves, actually. So this design tool will go beyond any course you're in, as long as you are the teacher in it. So you have two options at the very top. You can automatically launch the design tool, or you can show the launch button. I recommend that everyone just show the launch button when you edit a page, because if you're going to launch it on, when you edit a page, what we'll do is we'll automatically open this design tool. And many things you're going to do aren't going to be changing designs. They're going to be doing things like changing a word or a due date or a descriptor. You're going to do editing of a video, putting something in. You're not necessarily changing the design of the page. And so I recommend that you show the launch button, which will allow you to then have that rocket appear in the upper right-hand corner, which then you can click on whenever you want to access the design tool, but it won't automatically launch for you. So I will do that sometimes when I'm doing a lot of page edits, but it's not something that I do all of the time. And for now, we will close out of that and say that that is good enough for what we need. Now, design tools, I'm going to nerd for just a moment, and you all have to deal with it. So Canvas is primarily deals with HTML. What DesignPLUS is it's a customizable style sheet that is superimposed onto our instance of Canvas. And so when we tell it to do certain things, it changes how Canvas reads that HTML. Okay, nerding is done. We'll move on now. So we need to tell the design tool that we want it to apply itself, right? We need to tell it that we're going to apply these styles onto our page. So we're going to click on the green puzzle piece. That's going to be our starting place for most new pages, okay? So when we click on the green starting piece or the green puzzle piece, it's going to ask us to choose a theme. So one of the things that you're going to notice, if you hover over any of the themes, it will tell you what that page will look like. So in this case, the apple theme puts a little apple in the corner, and then it also puts the title of the page at the top. I am going to choose flat section 1 or 2 for demonstration purposes because it's easier for you to see what's happening. It's also a very popular style. So if worse comes to worse, you could just choose flat section 1 for all of your courses. It looks clean, it looks nice, and it functions really well. But for our demonstration purposes, we're going to choose this flat section 1. So clicking on the theme, you'll notice that it provided a green asterisk in the corner of the theme that has told me that that is what I'm applying to this page. Okay. So when I come into the editor now, what you'll notice is this gray bar. These gray bars tell me where that style sheet is going to apply. Some things you can do outside of those gray bars, but for the most part you can't. And so if you want to have these tools applicable, it needs to happen inside those 2 gray bars. Okay. So what that's going to do for us now is give us a workspace, and then we can add things into this workspace as we want to. One of the things that we're going to focus a lot on are boxes and blocks. So DesignPLUS will spend most of your time in a box in some form. And those boxes will allow you to move things, will allow you to customize things, but we're going to work in boxes as much as we can. Okay. So you'll notice when you create this theme, it automatically came up with text, #, and then the page name that I put in at the top right here. Now, text, #, is not very informative to my students. And I can go in and edit it in the Canvas editor. Or I can use the design tool on the right to customize the banner text. So right below the choose theme, I have the ability to customize banner text. So this slider, show the Canvas title, what it does is every Canvas page that you create currently always has at the very top a gray repeat of the page title that you had put in at the top when you created the page. This slider allows you to hide that gray text. If it's in the off mode, it will not show that gray text. If it's in the green mode, it will show that gray text. I recommend for most things, you leave it in the off position because we're going to repeat that information in the prettiness, right? In the design tool, we are repeating that page name in some form, okay? So now I can come into the unit name and I can type in whatever I want. So maybe I call this module, or possibly chapter, or possibly week, or maybe I want it to be a repeat of something else. I don't know. I will call it a chapter because I can. And then I'm going to go down into the unit number, and maybe this is chapter 2. So you'll notice that it automatically filled in the information in the circle, in the orange circle. It doesn't work the other way. If I change in my orange circle, if I change it to be week, it doesn't automatically apply it to the design tool. So I can come back in and make it chapter, and it will go back into the Canvas editor. Okay. I can change the content title if I choose to. So instead of calling it October 8 Design Plus, maybe I want to call this Overview. Or maybe I want to call this Rhetorical Structures. Whatever I want to call it, I can call it whatever it is. So maybe I will call this DesignPLUS Demo for the sake of argument. Again, noticing that it didn't change in my Canvas editor, it didn't change the page title. So this gives me some freedom. And as we work with templates in another training, that will be useful for us. Okay. I can add a content subtitle. So this, so possibly we can call this October 8th. Maybe that's my subtitle. I can also provide a description. So maybe I want to do something like, in this module, we will demonstrate whatever. Okay. So it then creates and it populates automatically some of this banner imaging. Okay. Now I can still go into the rich content editor and I can edit as I choose. I can still function in the rich content editor by bolding or not bolding or italicizing or doing whatever I choose. Okay. Often what people will do in these types of situations is they will often ignore a subtitle. I don't often see descriptions either, but sometimes that can be really useful if you want to do things like your objectives could go right there, or a quick reminder of what the page is actually going to be. In this page, you'll notice it has this lovely orange text or background of the text. So you might choose to be a little aware of how long that descriptor is. I probably wouldn't put all of my content in that page descriptor. I would do it in other ways, just because of what that is doing. Okay. Lindsay, it looked like you had a question. You're good? Okay. So we also have the option to add a banner image. Banner images are different than like content images. A banner image will go across the top of this banner section and provide a visual interest. So we have installed some banners already that show our campus, for example, or the bell tower, or Moore campus, or the apartments across the street, whatever. Those are pre-installed. You can choose to use those if you wish. We also have some that the makers of DesignPLUS have installed. So maybe I like this colored pencil or something like that. But I can also choose an image from my course. So I've already populated these images into this course file structure. So I can come in and then grab that image and also make it whatever I wanted it to be. So let me show you for just a moment a different page, if WebEx will let me. So in this student help Canvas course, we've come in and we've put this banner image, Module 1, Welcome to Canvas, on all of the pages that associate with Canvas or with this module. And so we could put this in as a banner image using City Labs on every page for that module if we chose to do that. But I need to make sure that it's in my file structure first so that I can then grab it in the DesignPLUS. Okay. So we will choose a banner image. Let's choose books. Books are good things, whatever, doesn't matter. Now, a lot of times the banner image is going to be used on the home screens, which we will talk about at the end of the training. But those are going to be useful there. I like using them if I'm going to use a consistent banner like I did in that home or that Canvas help page. If I'm going to just use it once, I probably wouldn't use a banner image. I would probably insert a different image. Okay. Then we get down here to navigation blocks and course content links. We're going to ignore that for the time being so that we can move into some other things. So if I save this, that is what my student would see right now. So they can see what chapter they're in, they can see what page it is, they could see possibly the date or the topic or whatever it is. I don't know how you're going to structure your classes. We have a brief description, and then we have this heading image that separates the design pieces. So that looks wonderful, but there's nothing on this page, right? Like I haven't given them anything. I actually want to include things like my readings, and I want to include videos and images and tables and whatever else I want to include. So I can edit the page again. Now you'll notice that my rocket ship automatically popped out when I edited that page. So I'm going to click on the rocket ship. It will then open up my design tool. Now what I want to do is this orange add content block button is going to become our new best friend. Like to the point where you're going to invite it to the wedding and it's going to sit at the head table because it will be your new best friend. So everything that we're going to do is going to help us think in terms of content blocks. So when I click add content block, what's going to happen is it's going to populate this add blocks button or set. Now, if it's something that is pretty common, we've probably already created it. And if not, we might be able to create it for you. So for example, on many content pages, it's common to include things like objectives. In this module, you will learn about the following. Or on each page, it might be possible. On this page, it will help you learn this objective. So maybe I want to include an objectives page or an objectives block. And maybe I'm going to include a readings block and a videos block and an additional resources block. Maybe that's a good start for now. So what has happened is now I have these blue boxes, these blue blocks have been added into my wrapper. So I can now use the design tool within these blocks. So here I have my objectives. So by the end of this module, you should be able to, if I click inside my list, I always recommend going from left to right. And I will demonstrate why in just a moment. So I'm going to highlight my whatever. I can start typing. You should be able to define DesignPLUS. Should be able to apply design principle, whatever. And I can input all of my wonderful objectives. Okay. When I come into the readings, now maybe what I want to do is give them not just a list of readings, but I want to provide some context around those readings. So not only are you going to read chapter 2, but I want you to pay attention to some things. So I'm going to click in here. Now it's an ordered list. So I can hit enter. Oh, that kept the ordered list. Well, I'll backspace. And I'll backspace again. Oh no. That put it up in the header. I'll hit enter. Oh dear. That's a header 3 still. I'll undo it. So DesignPLUS has this fabulous button called undo in the upper right-hand corner. If you click undo, it will eventually get you back to your starting point. So how do I get rid of this ordered list? Remember, I can go from left to right. So if I highlight this, going from left to right, I can then delete that out, and then I can do whatever I need to get rid of that list. So possibly in this chapter, you will read about design principles. You should pay attention to the following. Whatever I want, I can put it there. I can come back in and I can add my list. I can do whatever I want with it. So I'm going to just put some stuff here that they should read. These are things they should be available to read. Okay. I can do the same with videos. So I can insert a video. So in this case, I have already put a video in the course media. I will grab it. I will put it, oops, I did that wrong because I highlighted the text and I didn't delete it. Now I can insert the video. There it is. Now I'm going to pause for just a second. Can you guys on WebEx, can you still see me move?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. The last training I did, I inserted a video and it crashed the WebEx video. And so I wanted to make sure that we did that okay. So I have a video and I can go in and I can do additional resources. Okay. All of those things are available to me now. So in this block, perhaps I want my videos before my readings. Blocks are movable now. So I can grab this arrow on the in the DesignPLUS tool. I can grab this arrow and I can move it wherever I want it to go. And it will move that entire block for me, including all of the content in that block. So I can even put my banner image above my text, and I could put my additional resources at the very top if I wanted to. It looks a little silly. I wouldn't recommend it. So I'm going to move it back down. And I like my banner image after my title text, so I'm going to do that. Okay. Now you'll also notice these gray boxes here. They correspond to the icon that is showing in this box. So I don't like check marks for objectives. So I click on the gray box and it pulls out an icon search. Now I'll pre-warn you, the icon search is not the most robust. So sometimes we have to try a couple of things. So this is for objectives. So I'm going to type in objective. And it says no match found. Okay, well, maybe I can call it goal. And nothing there. Let's try outcome. Oh, there are two icons for outcome. These happen to be Canvas specific, which I think is a good thing. Students, when they see this, they see outcomes. It's natural for them in Canvas. I click on it, it automatically changes that icon for me. Now you'll notice down at the bottom here that it says a note that if they have a gray box around the icon, they would prefer that you use that only in the trademarked sense, right? So if I want to use, for example, Twitter, the icon for Twitter, they would prefer that I only use that in the trademark sense when I'm talking about the website Twitter. However, I could find a bird that I could just kind of use wherever. The red boxed ones may not appear in the app, but quite frankly, in the app, they'll still see the text anyway. It will be just fine. So I'm going to choose that icon, and then I can do whatever I want. So with videos, I don't like calling it videos, so I'm going to change the word to watch because I want to. Notice I did that in the editor, in the content editor. It will still respond. It's fine. Maybe I don't like the play button. Maybe instead of watch, I want, I don't know, maybe binoculars. And I can go through and change all of those icons. Okay. The point of an icon is to be a visual representation. So I recommend that they be the same throughout your course. If you're going to use consistently a watch video section, use the same icon every time, would be my suggestion, because then when the student sees that icon, they can immediately grab it and know that that's what they're doing. Now that's all good, but I need a block for, I don't know, interpretive dance. But there is no block down in here that is already existing for interpretive dance. So what I did is I started to type up here in the top where this plus green or this green plus box is. I can title it whatever I want, and it will create a new box for interpretive dance. Again, I can click on this gray box to get an icon. Maybe there's something about, oh, there's not a dancer, but maybe a person or something would work. Sure, carrying a box, whatever. Now, I might also not want that header. I might just want a block so that I can play around with some things. So I can also just click on the green plus and it will create just an empty block for me to play in. So it's completely possible, for example, that I want to insert a table in this space. And so we will call this name and assignment or whatever, right? 1, 2, 3, I don't know. We'll add a table in, and maybe this is person A and B and C. Now this is not a waste of time because we're going to show you what this does for us later, but you just have to deal with it for the time being because that's what happens. Whatever, we're happy, we're smiling. People haven't revolted yet, so we're good. There we go, I've got a data table. Now, again, I can move that wherever I want. So I can move it up, I can move it down, I can move it to the side. Now, I may not want, for example, this additional resources. I put it in, I don't want it now. So this red X over here allows me to delete that block. But maybe I did want it. Again, I can undo. Okay. Questions up to that point about these building blocks?
Quick thing, if you can.
Putting video clips when I put in information. I always have to go and justify it.
So the question is there a way to preset the module so that things get centered? No, but I will show you in the course of today how you can use City Labs to do that design for you. So I should pause for just a second, and then we'll get any other questions. So DesignPLUS is this tool. The maker is called City Labs. In my head, they're the same thing. So I often use them interchangeably, so I apologize. We'll show you in DesignPLUS how to do that in just a minute. Someone online started a question. I'm sorry, who?
I think that was me, if you can hear me.
Yes.
So just to check, I believe this is possible. When you talked about using the same icons throughout a course, your existing blocks, I believe you can set up if certain templates with the blocks preset. Is that correct?
Yes. So in another training later, we will talk about how to set up those templates so that you can then just use those over and over again. So yes, you can do that.
I just wanted to check that that was possible with some.
Yep, you're right on. We're not going to do that today, though. So let's save this page for just a moment so that you can see what it looks like for your student. Okay, I should pause. Were there other questions? Okay, so you can see very clearly the gray border, white background, gray background. So it creates these nice blocks for us. Those blue bordered blocks disappeared. And so that's nice for us, okay? So now we're going to come back in and edit the page. And I'm going to insert, I want to put in an image. So I'm going to insert an image from the course. In this case, we'll insert the bell tower. Oops, I inserted it like 5 times. I can delete that out. Because what we want to do now that we have shown you the basic of the building blocks, we want to now move into the ideas of the elements of each of the pages. So in HTML land, things are called elements. That might be a bolded statement, that might be an image, it might be a table, it might be a building block. We can go in now and play with those elements, with those things, and modify them, okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to start by clicking in this ordered list. Now, an ordered list is a thing. In the coding, there exists an ordered list tag, is what it's called, and it tells the computer from this starting point to this ending point, I want an ordered list. Now, City Labs will allow you, once when I'm in a thing, in an element, I can click on this bullseye at the top. Now the bullseye is going to allow me to edit things or edit elements. So in this case, I'm in an ordered list. When I clicked on the bullseye, it allows me to then change the ordered list style. So for example, maybe I really want capital letters there instead of numbers. I can change that. Wait, Lindsay, it gets better. I feel like a telemarketer. Just wait, there is more, okay? So I'm going to leave it in a numbered list for the purpose of demonstration. So I have my first level, and of course, every list needs a sub-level. But Canvas automatically defaults to number and then more number. So I can now come in to this sub list and I can change it so that it becomes letters. Now that has always been possible if you wanted to dig into the code. But who wants to do that, right? So now I can make my sub list lettered versus numbered if I really wanted to do that. Lindsay is like smiling. So I know we're hitting good things, right? So this is something easy that we can do. I can also change it from an ordered list to a non-ordered list. I can change it to open circles. I can change it to be boxes. I can even make it have an ordered list appearance without having the bullet points, if I really wanted to do that. In this case, we'll make it ABC. Okay. So I can also change, maybe after bullet point 4, I have some additional text. Whatever, but now I want my bullet list to start back at 5. So I come up to Canvas, bless their hearts, they try hard. Oh, it starts with 1 again. But I want 5, Justin. I don't want 4. I don't want 3. I don't want 1. I want 5. So I can change this to be item number. I can have it start at 5. I can also have the list start at a different number if I want to. I can also make it a pill list. It looks better with something like this that's actually functionable. This is often used for navigation. I don't see a lot of people use this in like reading things, but you can do it. And then I can also make it a basic navigation list, which doesn't mean much to you right now, but when we do navigations, this is how you would create your own navigation list if you wanted to. I can change also the leveling inside my list by just clicking on these increase or decrease indentations. And again, I could change that list so that now it would be whatever I want it to be to fit my design. Okay. Now, let's make that one not a pill list because that's going to bother me if it's there. So that's one type of element, ordered lists. Another type of element is a table. So I can click in the table that I just created. And again, by clicking on the bullseye, that tells our DesignPLUS, I want to edit this element. Now coming in to this element, now it pulls up a table header and footer. So what I can do is I can declare to it that it has a header row. So this makes it more screen reader accessible automatically. So whenever I'm using data tables or tables that contain a header, by declaring that it's a header row, the screen reader reads it differently than not. It used to be that I would go in to the table and I would have to click on table, row, row properties, and then I would tell it that it was a header row. And chances are we didn't do that all the time. But now what I can do is come into City Labs, tell it I have a header row. I can also tell it that I have a header column, which again helps with accessibility. It also looks better. But the key point is it will help a screen reader read that table. I can also make a footer row. So if I were teaching accounting or math or something, I might have a footer row that shows that that is a total line. I can make it sortable. Last time I taught this, I had like a pocket of math people, and that was happiness for them. That we can make it sortable. So now each of these columns, if I clicked on the column, when it's been saved, it would then organize it from lowest to greatest or greatest to lowest. And it will automatically adjust all of the other rows in the table to do that. It keeps the data pure, not pure, but it keeps it intact I can also add a table caption. A table caption serves for a screen reader so that when a screen reader hits it, it automatically designates what the table is doing. So I can type in a caption, maybe this is something like grades. I don't know. But now I've got the caption and it allows me to do that. Canvas also has some pre-coded table stylings. So right below the current is this current Canvas table stylings. So if I click on basic, it will automatically format the table for me. I can click it so that when I hover over a row, the students see which row they're on. It changes the color. I can make it striped automatically so that the data is easier to read. I can also make it condensed. I'll tell you that condensed button is Justin's favorite. Like, Canvas tables are too big. And so I love it. But I can also take away all of that formatting by clicking on the X. They have an old style that is not used often, but they do have it. A basic design for the old style looks like that. I can make it bordered, I can make it striped, and again, I can make it condensed. Now, I have the ability to also change the table width. So I can come in and make this table 50%. So what that means is whatever screen I'm on, it will take up 50% of the available space. So if I'm on a cell phone, which has a much smaller available space, it will shrink the table down and be responsive so they don't have to scroll through the table. I can also change that so that it would be pixels, which makes it fixed. I don't recommend that. I recommend leaving it as percentages. Most people have a better sense of what a percent is anyway versus what a pixel is. So we'll just say that. You can also come in and change the widths of the columns. So for example, I want this name column to be 50%, and then I can come through and make the rest of them be whatever I want them to be. So let's see, that's 90, and then I can do a 10%, or whatever. I can change the column width so that those will automatically hold. Now comes the hard part. I wish DesignPLUS would fix this. I want my table in the middle. I don't want it on the right-hand side. I don't want it on the left-hand side. DesignPLUS does not have the ability to center that table, but it does. Canvas now has given us that ability. So if you click in the table itself, under the table properties, you can align it so that it's centered. And then you can make it so that it's centered. Okay. So I can go in and I can edit that table. I can do whatever I want with it. Now I can also come into the table row, because that is again an element. Oh, it's not going to let me on this page. Okay, so that's tables. Okay. Now let's come down a little bit further to the graphic that I put on the page. So I have a graphic and I have text that surrounds the graphic because I want to, but that looks really bad. I don't like it. I don't want it to look like that. There's a lot of spacing issues. There's some funkiness going on. If I click on the graphic, again, a graphic is an element. And so what I can do is click on the graphic. If it doesn't automatically respond to it, I can click on the target, and then you will see this image size and position piece. So I can change, let's start here. I can change the alt text. Canvas automatically puts in the name of your file when you put in an image. So you'll notice that the name of this image is called Bell Tower in the Fall Cropped, and then it gives the file extension .png. Now, as soon as we've got .png, it's no longer accessible. It no longer provides descriptive text as we would hope it would. So in this case, my file name is called something that is pretty descriptive of what that image is doing. So I can go into this alt text and I can edit it however I want. So bell tower in the fall is reasonable. Now, if you were listening to this page, do you need to know that this image was cropped? No, that serves no point in defining what this image is doing in terms of the context. So I'm also going to get rid of that. Looks like I have a spelling error there. And so I can make a space there. I can fix all of that in that space. Now I can also mark it as a decorative image. Decorative images are ignored by screen readers. And so you can't have things that actually contain content and have them be decorative images. Decorative images are things like icons. Okay. I can change the width, I can change the height, and it will scale it appropriately. Yeah, Lindsay. Unfortunately, no. You have to go into HTML to do that. So I can show you that if you're really interested in making those responsive, but unfortunately, no.
What was the question?
I just added the image.
You're using one of the HTML snippets, right? Yeah, we'll answer that, not right this moment. Okay. So I can also fill the width. What that does is that makes it 100% of the available space. I can also make it the max width, which will automatically make it its default image maximum. You have to be careful with those because sometimes, like if you grab an image or download an image from the internet or from your own whatever, it could be huge. And then it will max that out every time. So I just create a width. So clicking on the image, then I can also change the alignment of that image. So I can make it align left so that now my text actually flows around it. I can push it center and I can push it right. This is often my default because there is a lot of research in online learning that shows that students want to start reading when they get to a section and not look at an image immediately. And so that's there. Now I can also apply a style to it so I can make it like go around. I can make it a circular image. I can add a border to it. I can make it have a border and be a circle. I can make it be gray bordered. Yes, sir.
Question on text. My C classes, I have that matter, but no one use third-party filters. So stress every image from my test. Because if I put in alt text, it still holds it. It doesn't matter what it is. If I click decorative image, it goes through the filters.
Yes. So as soon as you mark decorative image and there's content in that image, you have now broken ADA. So what happens is that alt text is the only way that a screen reader knows what that image is doing. So for example, if I have an image of an arm and I want to label the ulna and the radius, and I have made that decorative, I have now stripped the content of that image, and now I have made it so that students who use a screen reader can no longer access that content.
Well, it's just, I didn't intend to strip anyway.
That is like a tech issue beyond, but as far as the law is concerned, you've marked it as a decorative image. It serves a purpose. It can no longer be marked as a decorative image.
I just don't want to step further. I'm sorry.
No, please.
There are times in my test where I have marked that radius.
Exactly.
Challenge.
No, so that is protected in the law because it is demonstrating knowledge. And so if your image is asking them to do decorative or do demonstration of knowledge that would be revealed in the alt text, then you would say something along the lines of an image of an arm of some kind, or the bone labels in an arm. And then that would be sufficient for the law. So that gets into a really hairy issue, but chances are we are more likely to be brought up in a lawsuit for non-ADA compliance than almost anything else, as far as that's concerned. So ADA is a very strong holding law as far as universities are concerned. So we have to be very aware of that.
I mean, I understand that. Devices. Most of them aren't using Apple or Google systems. They're using third parties.
Sure.
And
yeah, that would be something that I think I would bring up with your IBC coordinators at each of the schools so that they can talk to their tech people and see what we can do to work beyond that.
I don't know the answer. I've taken to include media.
Sure.
Part of the test. Sure, all the interesting media show up.
That's, I guess, an option. I don't know that side of things as much as I wish I should. I need to, so.
You don't want.
Huh?
You really don't want.
No, we don't.
It's a nightmare, apparently.
Teacher biology. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let's pause for a second. Do we have other questions that are floating in for these element things? Okay, so let's deal with this video. Now, if you have not put a video in, you will not see this option, just so you know. So you might choose to go and grab a YouTube video and embed it in, just so that you can see this option. When I want to play with a video in Canvas, it thinks that I want to watch the video in Canvas, and I don't want to watch the video in Canvas, right? So if I grab a YouTube video, it will often start playing when I try to resize it, or if I try to center it, or if I try to do anything with it. Because it's an iframe, is what it's called, Canvas is treating it differently than an embedded object in other ways. So at the very top, you'll notice a box with two other boxes. This is also navigable by this Style iframes menu. But what it does is it allows you to come in and fix any of your iframes. So what I can do is I can change the height and width of my video. So if I want this video, instead of being a width of 303, maybe I want it to be a width of 1000 pixels. So I always like leaving it in kind of a middle ground. And then I want to make sure that I have enabled full screen. Yeah. So the question was, the students who are using their phones, what is the recommended size? And I think in some form, just kind of a middle ground. When you insert something in the middle, that tends to be reasonable. But I always make sure that there's the option of full screen. Now I can lock the ratio. I can also unlock the ratio so that if I made it 1000, that height would stay 225, which means then they will scroll through the video. It will be fun. It would be joyous. Teaching evaluation scores would plummet. So we can change those. I recommend, however, that you always lock the ratio. That way, if they do click it, it will adjust to their screen as an entire block instead of just a chunk of a block. Yeah, Lindsay.
What's the YouTube video?
Uh-huh. So, well, the question was, a YouTube video, should you put it in as an iframe or should you link it to YouTube? The question then becomes, do we have clearance to include the video or not? If we have clearance to include the video, embedding is always better. But if not, then linking out is just fine. I can also then center my video if I choose to. I can flush it right, I can flush it left. That I think is a huge saver for me because every time I've tried to deal with videos in Canvas, I can never get them to center right. And so then I have to go in and do the coding and I don't like that. So this is helpful for me. Now, there is this option to fill width. To Katie's comment, this fill width automatically makes it adjusted to be 100% of what available space is. And that can be useful for a mobile device. Okay. So, questions on that? Now, I want to show you one more thing that is really great. So often what we do is we include a hyperlink. So I'm going to grab a website address and I'm going to hyperlink some text for just a moment. And when I click in this hyperlink, I don't have to click and highlight the hyperlink. I just have to be inside the hyperlink. Hyperlinks are elements. And so I can edit the hyperlink. So I can go in and I can change the text that is hyperlinked. I can change the URL if I choose to. I can even make it link to something inside the course. So if I wanted to link it to a page, I could link it to a page, or I could link it to a general navigation thing. Then I also have the ability to open it in a new tab, or I can have it not open in a new tab. I always have mindset to open in a new tab. So there is some research out there that online students tend to respond better to opening in a new tab than using the back button. They get a little frustrated when they have to use the back button. It sounds weird, but they would rather open a new tab than not. We can also put a little box by the link that will show the student that they visited it. Thank you. So it doesn't show you as the teacher that they visited it, but it shows them that they visited it. So for example, if I have a list of, I want you to view this webpage, this webpage, this webpage, and this webpage, I might choose to include that, have you visited this, so that then they know which ones they have seen and which ones they haven't. Now, you'll notice that for me, it is a green box. That means I've visited this link. Inside my cookies, it says you've been to snow.edu on this computer. Therefore, you have visited the link. But if I had put a website that I hadn't visited, which would be a little ridiculous in this training situation, it would show up as an orange box, showing them they haven't seen that link yet. Okay. So I can also come in and I can apply button stylings now to my links. So I can make a button appear over that link. Ooh. Oh. Yeah. Excitement, awesomeness. Okay. Katie does not have opinions. So Katie says that she would prefer anything done for her, makes her happy. So I can change the styling. I can make it a blue button or a gray button or a green button. I can also make it outline. I can make it change color. I can even make it so that it's just kind of there, but not. We have canvas primary coloring, secondary coloring, whatever we want. Now I can also make it so that the button is bigger or smaller. I can also make it fill up all of the available space that I'm going to give it. So Lindsay is here. We were talking about buttons in one of her courses, but the buttons weren't being consistent in size because they respond to text, to the size of the text that you have. So what we talked about is if we put a table in and then put the button inside the table and make the button a block, then it would fill in that entire space that we gave it, and then they were all the same length. And that was one way we could do that. Yeah, Lindsay. Yes. Yes. So there are other options ahead, but we can use these blocks that will allow us to use these buttons. Okay. Now I can also remove that style if I want. And then I can also put an icon in front of this button. So maybe we want module. Again, that's a term Canvas uses. I can put an icon in front of that link and whatever I want with it. Okay. All right. So I can change it either here in this text monitor, or I can come in and change it here. So in this case, maybe I will change it here. And so instead of this module, maybe I want to do this here chapter. So I can highlight it if that's what you're asking. Yep. And so I could even come in because City Labs doesn't have this ability, but Canvas does. So for example, I could come in and I could change the font now to be all Comic Sans, our favorite. All things should be Comic Sans. So I have to share my Comic Sans stories for just 2 seconds. So I have a history of teaching future elementary school teachers how to be teachers. That's part of my job, part of my prior life. And every semester I would have to go through the Comic Sans talk of this is not an acceptable font on a resume. Oh, but I want to be an elementary school teacher. Wouldn't they like that? This is not an acceptable font on a resume, a portfolio, on anything. And if you turn it into me, I will ask you to resubmit it because it's not acceptable in life. So I can do that. Now you'll notice that this green box, it would change for the student to a different color. They can click it. It opened in a new link because I made it set that way. But now I have a pretty reasonable page. Pretty quick, pretty harmless. Okay, let's pause for a minute and let's see if we have any questions that we can answer. I'm trying to also listen for the WebEx people, so make sure if you have questions to ask away. We're good? Yeah, Kelly.
Do you have like a document, videos or something in case we have questions?
So
I'm going to start working on my spring classes, so I know I'm going to be.
yes. So we are in the process of making them. This is not an excuse, but my life as of like from last Wednesday to today, I have just been going. And so I'm not finished with them yet, but they are coming.
But City Labs does have.
They do.
Are there resources?
Yeah, and exactly, and I can share that with you as well. It's CIDI. So the question was, what kind of material do we have? And so if you go into City Labs, we'll just type in City Labs for a moment. You can get into the DesignPLUS. Come on. And then they have where did it go? I will send it to you because I'm not seeing it immediately, but they have a whole Canvas course that shows you how to do these things. Okay, so now I want to show you how to make a home page because that is also a really nice feature of DesignPLUS. So what I'm going to do, actually, I need to show you one other thing before we get to home pages. You'll notice at two things. Wow, Justin, two things. You'll notice at the top, you have the ability to change your view of the page. So currently it's in blocks. That shows me where all of those building blocks are. I can change it so it will look like what it will look like in the browser, removing those blocks. And I also have the ability to show what it looks like in the Canvas app. This is helpful because then you can see what it's going to do in an app space. I also have the ability to show it in no style, which is boring. This is just what you see in your regular Canvas page, okay? The other really great thing is I have an accessibility checker in the DesignPLUS interface. It will check the outlines, it will check the images, and it will check the links for you. So the heading outline provides a list of all of the headings that I've used. So something to be aware of, Canvas always makes that text that I call the page heading 1. It is reserved in Canvas. You can never use heading 1 for anything because it is always reserved for that page header. Heading 2 in DesignPLUS is always reserved for the title of the page in the banner. That is always reserved for its heading 2. So therefore, all of these block sections become heading 3 or below. So it's completely possible, for example, that I want my readings to be heading 3, but I want additional resources to be a subheading of that additional resources, or sorry, of that reading. And I also want interpretive dance to also be a subsection of it. So I can go in and I can make it, by changing the heading levels, I can make it a heading 4 and another heading 4, and it automatically updates how it looks. Now, if I try, for example, to put in, come on, mouse, over here. If I try to make this be heading 4, and this one be heading 2, and this one be heading 4, all of a sudden now it's pulled up a red box for me saying you're not following proper heading order. Now, in rhetorical studies, heading order means that I've got big idea, small idea, big idea, small idea, right? We wouldn't change that order. In accessibility, this changes how the screen navigates. And so we want to make sure that they're in the correct order and in the correct leveling. So maybe this now needs to be heading 3 so that it would be the correct ordering. You'll notice that the heading 2 doesn't follow suit because City Labs thinks that heading 2 should always be that page title. The image checker, what it does is it looks at the image and it says, oh, this first image is decorative. I marked it that way. the second image already has alt text provided. But remember, it was called something like bell tower in the fall.jpg. As soon as I put that .jpg in, if I were to run this checker again, it's going to, oh, I need to update the, it's not let, oh, there it is, it finally got it. So now it's pulled up this warning that says your alt text is not what it should be. The link checker is also going to try to highlight things that don't stand on their own. So things that we try to avoid are things like click here, back, things that don't make sense on their own. So if I were to say the sentence, for more information, click here, as a student who is using a screen reader, if I were to strip everything out of that except for the click here, does that tell me what that link does? No. And so that is going to not be a descriptive link. But I could say something like, for more information about chapter 3, or because I need a following part here, but I could hyperlink that chapter 3. So maybe I would call it something like chapter 3 additional resources. And then I could highlight that text, and that makes sense out of any other context. Everyone is. No, it does. So the point is, I'll put things like for more information, click, and then the hyperlink on here. But if I strip that out, exactly. So if I were doing that, I would say, for more information, click the chapter 3 resources and pull that out, because that makes sense out of any context. So screen readers are powerful tools, but they don't make sense of everything that we give them if we don't provide some context for it. So, okay, we're happy so far? All right. I'm going to edit this page, and I'm just going to delete all of my HTML. If you want to just open a new page, that would be fine. So I'm going to open a blank page. I'm possibly going to call this my DesignPLUS homepage or something, I don't know. Now again, I have to tell City Labs that I'm going to use this space by telling it to apply the customizable style sheet. So I'm going to click on the arrow or the puzzle. Wow, Justin, those are puzzle pieces, arrows point. We'll get there, Justin. So I click on the puzzle piece. Now this time, instead of a basic page, I want to click a front page. Now front pages are going to be themed as well, but they're going to be themed to look more like a launching pad, a space where the students will start their journey as opposed to receiving a lot of content. The general rule of thumb is simplify on a home page as much as possible. Get them into the content pages elsewhere. So we don't want to have like every single assignment known to man on our home page. So we're going to click on front page. And now again, I can highlight and see different home pages, different options. So for example, I'm going to come back to this student help page. This is a Canvas homepage that was done in City Labs or DesignPLUS. Now you'll notice that the student comes in, and when they click on some of these menus, it highlights where they're going. Now, does that make a big difference in their learning of the material? Probably not, but it's pretty cool. It looks clean and it looks modern. And so that's one of the good appeals to this. So what we can do is choose our home page. Now, you'll notice the themes repeat in the home pages. So it would be very natural for me to select the same home page theme that I did for all of my content page themes, which makes a point. Don't put like one content page theme on a page and then change to another one and change to another one. Your students won't appreciate that. Yeah, Lindsay. You're right. So then we just try to match them as closely as we can. Exactly. And so Lindsay's saying some of these home pages are different than the content pages, and that's a great point. So for example, you'll notice that like this flat section 1 relates to the content page theme that I chose. It has that same title. But it looks kind of similar to other things. So maybe this basic color panel is going to be close enough that it's not going to cause problems to the student. And by that, I just mean be like, this feels wrong. They're still going to learn the content. They're still going to navigate it. It just will feel wrong. So I think my go-to is if I'm going to use the Apple theme, maybe I shouldn't use the Apple, or if I'm going to use the Apple theme on the home page, maybe I want either circles or apples in the content pages because those are similar. If I'm using a boxy theme, I probably am going to use a similar boxy theme because then they feel kind of consistent. So I'm going to choose, for the sake of our demonstration, not flat section 1. Even though it relates to what I just did, I don't want it. I want something else. So maybe I want like this colored headings 1, even though that's boxes and circles. So let's not do that. Let's do rounded headings. That will be fine, whatever. It's close enough. It will work, okay? Again, I have the ability to customize the banner text. Often when I'm doing home pages, the unit text, I make my course. So maybe I'm going to call this biology. The unit number I'm going to change out and I'm going to call it 1010. And then I don't want it to be called October 8th DesignPLUS homepage. Maybe I want to call it is Bio 1010 Intro to Biology, General Biology. So I'm going to just put the course title there instead of my page name. And maybe I want to make a content subtitle. Maybe we meet Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9:30 to 10:20. I can put that in. You'll notice it just made a banner over here on the side that I could do that in. And maybe I want to put the course description. In this course, you will, what will we do? You will learn about frogs. Okay, that's it. That's all we do in Biology 1010 is learn about frogs. Dissect them, cut them, whatever. Okay, so I could put the course description here. That's a pretty easy thing to do. As before, I have the ability to change the banner image. So maybe I don't want this image, but I want the noise building. Or maybe I really love the colored pencils. Or I want my own image. Again, we want to make sure that my image is in the file structure before I edit this page so that I can just find it. So there's my image right there. Okay. We'll do books because we like them. Now you'll notice down below are the navigation pieces. So on this Canvas Help for Students, these are the navigation pieces, helping the student go where it wants or where I want them to go. Now City Labs automatically starts with something called Start Here. If I have a page called Start Here, I can link to it, or a welcome page, I might link to it. I prefer having my students go through an orientation module. a module that has more information than not, so that they always know how to function in Canvas, what my netiquette policies are. I want them to practice submitting in a discussion board. I want them to submit an assignment so that they're always practicing, so that when they get into the assignment that actually is worth points, they can't say, I don't know how to use Canvas. Yes. Mm-hmm. Not currently on this computer, but I do, yes. Absolutely. So what we want to do is we can click in any of these navigation blocks, and we can then click on this Add Edit Navigation block. Now this gets a little touch and go for a minute, so I'm going to just try to do the best I can. I want to have it start here. Now you'll notice over here I have the course content links. I can click on the course content links. I can link it to a page if I wanted to. I could also link it to a module if I wanted to. So in this case, I have a module called Start Here. So I will link it to my Start Here module. City Labs always defaults the syllabus to Canvas's syllabus. The modules will always default to the module. The More Resources links to a blank page called More Resources. So maybe I don't want more resources. Maybe I want them to always go to the quiz page. I can come in and I can change More Resources. I can call it quizzes. In this case, I would then click on the course navigation. Sometimes it doesn't pull up. I don't know why. You just click it again, click on quizzes or course navigation, whatever you want. In this case, I would have it go down to quizzes, and then it would update. Okay. Maybe I only want 3 buttons instead of 4. I can also remove that 3rd or that 4th button. I can tell it to split wherever I want. So maybe I will have it split at 3 instead of 4, or maybe I want it to split. Let's add a 4th item in, and we'll call this snow.edu. And I want to link it. I click in it. I can grab the home page. I can insert the link, whatever. I can then also create an icon if I want. So maybe, oh, that should always be with snow.edu forever. I can change the icons if I want to. That's the point. Okay, so I currently have it splitting at 3, which means these 3 at the top will be in its own line, followed by that as the 4th. That doesn't look very nice. So I can also go in, again, these are navigation pieces. So I can come down into the navigation, edit the navigation. Maybe I want it to split at 4 this time instead of 3. So what that does is it then makes them smaller and goes across the entire bottom. Or maybe I want them a little bigger. And so I'm going to naturally choose my splits at 2. Whatever the case may be, I can do that. Okay, so now these are links. I can make them open in new tabs by clicking in them, clicking in the target and change that link setting. I can go through and change all of these texts. I can change the icons just as before. Okay, so now what if I want to put my instructor information on the home page? How do I do that? Pop quiz. Lindsay cannot participate. Okay, so Katie suggests let's look at add and rearrange content blocks. So I'm going to launch the tool. You want me to add and rearrange content blocks? No, I'm doing what you tell me. I think it is. I am not. I'm just trying to follow what you said. Now, Katie, if one of your students said that to you, would you just let them off the hook?
Okay, so.
I could. What do you want me to add a content block? Okay, so I can add a content block. Now, is it going to be like objectives or? Do you remember how to change that? Do you want to phone a friend?
Yes, okay, that's what.
Good. Okay, so what do you want to call it? Okay, my information. So now it's created a block down there that is called my information. So again, I can edit this all I want. I can come in and again, highlighting left to right, I can do name, office, phone, whatever, office hours. I can put all of that information in. What else would we like here? Maybe I want my picture. So again, in my structure, as long as I have something, I can insert an image. And maybe I have a course image already that is not there, but I could. So let's insert one from Unsplash. We'll just type in teacher because obviously. So, which one am I supposed to choose? Well, I'm going to do this one because so I can upload that image. Now this is too big. I can click on the image. I can click on the bullseye. I can change the image size. So maybe we can do something like 200 by 300. I can make it circular if I want. I have text there. So I need to justify that image somehow. So maybe I'll justify it left, and there I am. So now I can just put my instructor information in as a content block because that's how it functions. So Katie, you were completely right. And I can even come in and insert an icon onto that my information if I wanted to. So here's my information. Maybe I type in something and we see if anything comes up. Oh, that's perfect. We click on it. We can make it exist there. And now I've created a content block. It exists. It's happiness. Now I can save it. And I can change all of these navigation modules to whatever I want. So if I want to create a page that says additional resources, I can do that. Or I can have a page that has assignment prompts. Or I can have a page that has Mary Poppins dancing in a video. I don't know, but you can modify those to be whatever you want them to be. That you're currently already doing on your home pages. We're just going to embed it in a link and make it look a little more usable. Okay, so if you use these icons, they are screen reader accessible. They already have their alt text embedded into them. Icons for most for most purposes is a visual cue that allows people to constantly know what they're grabbing. So I see the same icon over and over again. I automatically know what to do after I've experienced it one or two times. It won't actually, it will just pick it up as, it's already got the embedded text, so it won't, you actually can't change it. All right, so I have 2 minutes. Oh, I didn't clear this out. That was dumb of me. In the syllabus tool, I want to highlight just a few things for you. When you create using the syllabus tool, City Labs automatically has certain things built into it that recognize that it is a syllabus. So, for example, it automatically recognizes institutional policies. It automatically allows you to put in a grading scheme based on what your Canvas grading scheme is, and it has different content blocks. So again, I can choose a theme. We will choose flat section 1 because we can. Now, when I try to add content blocks, you'll notice these are different than every other page you'll ever edit. So I know, for example, I need a course description in my syllabus. So I'm going to put a content block that says course description. I know that I need instructor information. I know that I'm going to have my objectives for the course and my required materials and information about how to get Canvas help. I know that I want all of that stuff already there. So I can just populate it in there. The nice thing about the Canvas help is it's consistent. I can also tell it to go to the institutional policies and add the institutional policy link already there. If I wanted something else that's not there, I do it the exact same. I just put in a block. I can make it exist there. I can also put something else like lab requirements, whatever. I can move them around. Again, by using that rearrange the blocks, I can move them wherever I want. I can add icons again. I can do whatever. But the really great thing about this is when I update the syllabus, let's go into the student view so you can see it a little cleaner. At the top, there's this syllabus navigation. And so now the student can automatically just navigate through my syllabus. Okay, so I don't do the Snow College website, so. But that would be my push to use the syllabus button. Now, a lot of people push back and say, I don't like the syllabus button because it has this course summary at the bottom. So I have the ability to enable or disable the course summary. When I edit, I can show the course summary, which then populates all of that stuff at the bottom, or I can edit it and I cannot show the course summary, and then I can remove it, and now it is just a document. So I would encourage the Canvas syllabus navigation as much as possible. That's a deep-seated question. Do I encourage or discourage the course summary? Students are very good at not using the modules. And so I want to prevent them as much as possible from not using the modules. And so I like not putting things in the course summary, because then they don't just click on things and try to do homework assignments before I've actually got them reading material that will help them with the homework assignment. Unfortunately, it still shows up in their task list and in their calendar. So they get around it, but that's a little step that I can do that can at least guarantee that they won't just pick and choose and not do the reading that I've assigned with it. That's completely up to you, however you want to do it. It wouldn't. Well, in the course summary, it would, if you enabled it, but if you didn't enable it, it wouldn't. Did I answer your question correctly? Okay, so that's City Labs. I've held you over 2 minutes, I apologize, but that's City Labs. Derek is on the phone right now, but He and I are more than glad to help you. We realize this is a very steep learning curve, and so please feel free to reach out. We'll be glad to help you. We can fix things if it gets too destroyed. We can help whatever you need. So we're at 7341 is for both of us, is a good number for both of us. So I'll be here if you have questions, but if not, I'll turn off the WebEx unless there are questions from WebEx people.
Yeah, just to reiterate, we are here to help out with anything.
Okay, so Derek says he's willing to help with anything.
Yeah.
She's going to hold you to that, Derek. All right. Well, I'm going to close out the WebEx then if there are no other questions. All right. Thank you.